Hey everybody, what's good? This video is called Why Stupid People Think They're Smart, the Dunning-Kruger Effect. It's by an author by the name of Mark Manson, and on his website it says, I am the #1 New York Times best-selling author of The Subtle Art of Not Giving Up, and everything is a book about hope. I write life advice that is science-based, pragmatic, and non-bullshitty, aka life advice that doesn't suck. Some people say I'm an idiot. Other people say I saved their life. I actually read the book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving Up, and it's really good. It kind of clarifies things for you. It doesn't make you a bad person if you mind your own business. And these days, we have a lot of people who like to put their fingers in other people's businesses and stuff like that. You don't have to. You could just mind your business, focus on learning, on your fitness, on building your own career. But we're going to take a look at Mark's thoughts on why stupid people think they're smart. And while we do that, I'm going to keep working on this kid's book. But before we get into it, remember to go to coconutjustice.com and get yourself some clothes that I think would look good on you. Let's go. All right, Mark Manson, give us the goods.
The English philosopher Bertrand Russell once said, "The whole problem with the world is that fools and fanatics are so sure of themselves, while wiser people are so full of doubts." In psychology, what Russell described...
You know what's funny is I always say you have to be dumb enough to succeed. If you think too much about something before you go and do it, you might run into analysis paralysis. So where you're going to convince yourself not to do certain things. In a well-informed and well-braced idea, just go for it. Just go for it.
More popularly known as the dunning-kruger effect. This effect finds that people who are bad at something tend to believe that they're actually good at it, and people who are good at something tend to believe that they are bad at it. Elderly people who believe they're better drivers than most are actually 4 times more likely to make unsafe driving errors. Gun owners who think they're highly knowledgeable about gun safety score the lowest on tests about gun safety. Medical lab workers who rate themselves as highly competent in their jobs are actually the worst at their jobs. The lowest performing college students dramatically overestimate their performance on exams. The lowest performers in a debate competition wildly overestimate how well they do. People with the unhealthiest lifestyle habits rate themselves as far healthier than they actually are. People who score poorly on cognitive reasoning and analytical thinking tests severely overestimate their cognitive and analytical abilities. But why?
And a lot of you knuckleheads who watch Kung Fu Sunday growing up, you guys think that you can fight.
To understand, let's break knowledge down into 4 quadrants. So there are known knowns, things that we know, like I know how to ride a bike. There are known unknowns, things that we don't know. For example, I have no fucking clue how quantum physics works. And then there are unknown known, things that you forgot you knew or you don't realize that you know. Like you still remember how to drive to the supermarket from your childhood home. You just forgot that you knew that. And then there are unknown unknowns, stuff that you don't know that you don't know. When we are an amateur at something, we are very aware of the things that we know, and we're completely oblivious to the things that we don't know. Let's use basketball as an example. If you know nothing about basketball, it seems simple enough. You throw a ball into the net. You know what you know and don't know what you don't know. But as you start to learn more about basketball, you discover that there are a lot of nuances. How you shoot the ball, the mechanics of your elbow, wrist, and forearm, how you position the ball in your hand, understanding the different shots, a fadeaway, a jumper, a layup, a finger roll, an alley-oop. You're beginning to become aware of all the things you don't know, and there's a lot that you don't know. Let's say you spend another year working on basketball. You've mastered a bunch of different shots and learned to shoot with good form. Now you're getting into the weeds of defensive schemes, hand checking, picks and rolls, setting various kinds of screens. At this point,
growing up and well into my 30s, I was a catcher on multiple baseball teams. And it was my favorite position because you were, #1, you were included in every play. And #2, you're able to see the entire game. You have the best seat in the house, guaranteed. Fast forward to I might be in the living room watching baseball on TV and I'm super excited and I'm having a great time because I have an understanding of the nuances of what might be happening because I've been there before. I'm educated in said sport or in baseball. Whereas other people who have no clue what's going on, they might think that it's boring. Same thing with golf. Golf is actually really good nap TV, so I don't blame you guys for saying that. But even golf, like I'm a huge golfer now. So I know what to look for and I know how challenging it is to make that dumb little white ball go exactly where it is that you want it to go. But other people might look at it and say, that's super boring. So that's the phenomenon that he's explaining here is if you don't have any inclination or you don't have any idea of what's happening on a basketball court, on a baseball field, on a golf course, it's going to seem super simple. But that's because you're somewhat ignorant to what it takes to make that little ball go either in the basket, in the hole, or over the fence. You know what I'm saying? That's interesting.
You're no longer even thinking about your shooting form or how to hit a free throw. You've forgotten you know this stuff. It's unconscious. It's automatic. It's the stuff you know, but you forgot you know. And there's a ton of it. As you can see, the difference between an amateur and a professional is that an amateur's knowledge is known to them. Therefore, they get to feel smart about it. But an expert, so much of their knowledge is either unconscious and automatic, or it's knowledge of what they still need to learn. Another way to visualize this shift is to think of knowledge as a circle. The area within the circle is what you know about a topic, and the border is the horizon of your knowledge, or everything that you're aware of that you don't know yet. This border is what determines our uncertainty or doubt. Interestingly, as the size of your circle grows larger, the horizon of your knowledge also grows larger. The more you know that you don't know. But something else happens as well as you gain knowledge. As you implement information and it becomes automatic, you forget that you know it. So there's a second border inside the first. This smaller circle is everything that you've forgotten you know. So not only is the expert's horizon of doubt much longer, most of their knowledge is also unconscious. They forgot that they know it because it strikes them as so obvious and immediate, why even think about it? The idiot thinks he knows everything because he literally doesn't have enough knowledge to know better. Meanwhile, the expert thinks he knows nothing because he is so aware of all the ways in which he may be wrong. Now, I know what you're probably doing right now. It's probably the same thing I did and most people do when they learn about the dunning-kruger effect. You think to yourself, what a bunch of fucking idiots. Good thing I know about this dunning-kruger effect thing.
I'm glad he's dropping F-bombs. I don't have to.
I'm super aware of all my flaws. That makes me like an expert at fucking everything. So this is the tricky thing about learning about cognitive biases. We would like to think that because we're aware of all the ways our mind fucks up, that we are somehow immune to those fuck-ups. But once again, we are so wrong, because again and again, research has shown that educating people about their cognitive biases doesn't really make them any less susceptible to cognitive biases. And that is the most frustrating thing about the dunning-kruger effect. It is so hard to overcome, both in others, but also in ourselves. Because here's the thing, they're called blind spots for a reason. You can't fucking see them. How do you fix something that you can't see in yourself? This is the paradox of trying to overcome our own ignorance, the very thing that would help.
That's why it's important. This image is hilarious. But no, that's why it's important to hang out with or to keep an eye on who you hang out with, because it's your support system. It's your friend group that's going to keep you honest. If you walk up to my group of friends and you're talking a lot of smack when it comes to golf, I have a lot of friends that will put you in their place if you don't know what you're talking about. You see what I'm saying? My friends routinely tell me how terrible I am at golf.
See our mistakes is exactly would prevent us from making them in the first place. Part of the problem is that there is a comfort in the feeling of knowing. People don't like uncertainty. Settling on a belief, whether it's true or not, is a way to resolve anxiety within ourselves. So our minds often
admit that they don't know
things, even if we don't have a whole lot of evidence for them. And unfortunately, ripping on people for being fucking stupid doesn't really help the situation either. Anybody who's
'cause
gotten in a
they're
dumbass
too dumb.
argument in comment threads can tell you this from experience. Again and again, psychology has shown that when people's beliefs are challenged, they don't change their minds. They actually get more rigid and defensive. So what are we supposed to do? Well, starting with ourselves,
people don't want to be told that they're wrong. People don't want to be told that everything that they've learned is incorrect.
It's an important practice to perhaps hold fewer opinions, or at least hold them less strongly. This means being less emotionally attached to our beliefs. In other words, I think there's a lot to say for humility. When you see something online that is upsetting or angering or frustrating, instead of jumping to conclusions about that person or that cause, maybe sit back and say, I don't know. What the fuck am I saying? You guys aren't gonna.
You don't know what people have gone through. You don't know what people are going through. You just don't. You are not living that person's life. So it's incredibly stupid to think that you know everything. You don't know what people have been through. You don't know what's going on in people's brains chemically. Doctors don't even know. That's why it's called medical practice, because we're learning. The more we dig into it, the more we find out that, big surprise, everyone is unique.
Let's be honest. You know, last year I created an online course that helped people challenge their own beliefs. It helped people figure out how to hold opinions a little bit more softly. Funny thing, nobody fucking took the course. You know, for some reason there wasn't a ton of demand for that. And not to mention, it's fucking hard to market. Like, how do you market a thing to people that's gonna make them feel wrong about everything they believe in their life? That's not exactly like the most enticing sales pitch. But if for some reason you want to take that course, you can find the link in the description. Good fucking luck. So when it comes to other people, I think one of the hard truths that I've had to swallow over the years is that you can't really change the mind of somebody who's not willing to have their mind changed. You can throw as much data and statistics and logical arguments at them, but they're just gonna like ninjutsu that shit. You know, pull a Neo in the Matrix,
so why
and
waste your
all
time?
the bullets are gonna get by them. I think this is because most people's beliefs are not based on logic or reason. Most people's beliefs are based on identity and group affiliation. And so when you show them contradicting data, their thought process isn't, oh, I need to update my prior assumptions about the world. Their thought process is like, I'm being attacked. My tribe is being attacked. You know, many years ago, I used to coach people. And one of the reasons I fucking stopped coaching people is because it was often very frustrating. Somebody would hire me for a week, or we'd do like a monthly call or something. And it just felt like I was like beating my head against a wall. Like I was telling them the same thing over and over and over again. Usually like deep, profound truths don't sink in for people the first time. It's almost like you plant the seed in their head and then they need to go live for another year or two for that idea to sprout. It's almost like we have to be in the right environment or context or be going through the right phase of our journey for those seeds to sprout. So one has helped me a lot in my own relationships and just fucking tolerating all the nonsense that goes on in the world is understanding that I'm not here to change minds necessarily. I'm here to plant seeds. I'm here to drop an idea or an argument so that one day if that person becomes fertile ground, that seed can sprout.
When I was in church, that's how they taught me how the Holy Spirit works. It's not my job to throw my hands and shake my fists at people and tell them how to live their life, and it's not my job to force people to go to church on Saturday. That's the proper holy day. It's not my job to hold people's feet to the fire. It's my job to live my life according to the expectations set by God or my parents or whoever it is that you listen to. Your job is to live in that way. And if people are asking you, oh, how did you do this? And why did you do that? And they're asking you for guidance and stuff. You plant that seed, and then that person then goes into the world, and they're not going to use that tool. They're not going to use that seed. That seed will not sprout until they need it. And then it's going to make sense.
Impactful things usually don't sink in right away. They usually need like a few weeks or months or even a couple years to like incubate in a person's head. And when I look at my own life, this also feels true. Like
that was my
there were
entire
things
high
that
school
people told me in
career.
my teens that I didn't fully appreciate until my 20s or 30s or hell, even almost 40. Ultimately, I think humility is one of the most underrated values in our world right now. On the internet, people are rewarded for false confidence. People are rewarded for being bold. People are rewarded for being zealots. And
that's all these knuckleheads. Like, what's his, Andrew Tate? Like, I don't know. I don't understand why so many young men go to Andrew Tate. He's taking your money to turn you into an asshole. You could take that money and, I don't know, invest in a new computer and an education. You can buy books. You can do literally anything that'll make you a better person. But listening to an asshole is only going to make you an asshole.
About things. But while the algorithms may reward bluster and bullshit, the real world doesn't. Life is really fucking difficult and complicated, and most of us don't really know what we're doing most of the time. So any sense of false certainty is really just gonna cause more pain than necessary. I think what the dunning-kruger effect really teaches us is that humility is actually very practical. By intentionally underestimating our own understanding of things, not only do we open ourselves up to learn and grow more, but we also prevent ourselves from just being a fucking narcissistic ass face on the internet. That is, of course, until we decide that I'm the most humble person you ever met. Man, I'm so fucking humble. You wouldn't believe it. Everybody thinks they're humble, but I'm really humble. Like I've got this humility shit down. They should bottle it up and put that shit on eBay because I'm gonna make a fucking killing. Humility like off the charts. Oh, you can't even see how high it is up there, man. The camera doesn't go that high.
He's being facetious.
That fucking humble. And as you can see, now we're back to square one.
So that was Mark Manson with Why Stupid People Think They're Smart. The older you get, the more books you read, the more research you do, the more you realize that you don't know much. And if you are dealing with people that say that they know everything and that they have it all figured out, chances are they're probably rich, they have a whole bunch of money, and they're tricking you into some stuff. So be careful. Be careful with just people that think that they have everything figured out. It's just not the case. It's not the case. Anyway, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, share it with each and every one of your friends. And if you want to come hang out with me, watch videos while I work on creative projects, hit that subscribe button and click on the little bell icon that's right next to the subscribe button. So every time I come out with something new, you'll be alerted. Don't forget to go to coconutjustice.com and get yourself some dope gear. And with that, I'm out.